I prefer prevention to cure, don't you? The king is dying. I have always been interested in monarchies and aristocracy. I cannot quite explain why, as I am fully aware that they are anachronistic institutions of very little actual merit. But it was the way most peoples were led. Mostly a hereditary type, with eldest sons ascending on the death of their parent monarch. It is history. I was brought up to realize these things. In actual fact, I would be the beneficiary of such an arrangement. Yes, shock horror. I am of aristocratic lineage, but not royalty. But let's get on with it. I am dismayed by the manner in which state governors, especially in the north of Nigeria, have formed a habit of rubbishing the monarchs in that area. Reasons are given, even as much as monarchs aiding banditry, but I cannot help but wonder if these aren't really just crazy governors. It is imperative that these institutions are led by noble and gallant people. Stories of a top Yoruba king being sponsored or imposed by a political godfather is demeaning, to say the least. This especially because the system of ascendancy in this area is by competition. In the case of hereditary ascendancy, as in my humble ancestral home, or Benin, the matter is a lot more precise. A prince is prepared from birth for the role. There is so much that this institution could add to our tourism potential and our cultural relevance globally. But with all things Nigeria, we fail yet again. So while princes and princesses, kings and queens, dukes and earls form a great part of the heritage of great nations, ours flounder. It is time we spelled out their novelty value, their cultural value, and work at preserving their titles, abodes, and relics. We lack museums to display their treasures, which I presume are fast disappearing. Do not say I do not care about our heritage.
Who wants to start?
Prince Papi or Prince Chuka?
I was going to say the same thing.
No, I'm a duke. I'm a duke.
The Duke of Benin.
But you know what, Chuka, right? the reason why I think we don't really take our monarchy really seriously in this country is really for the reason you just, by pointing out that you have aristocratic, it's the kind of thing like when I, went to school abroad, practically everybody claimed to be a princess. Or, or a prince, and it just got to the point where we now sounded ridiculous, even those of us that did have a legitimate claim, we just made it, we belittled it. Yeah. Now, before you can do that in the UK or something, then you have to see the lineage, and before they will even answer, what is it that these countess or whatever, they have to justify it. So I think we've belittled that already. But what I do like with the, now, Ireti, please don't kill me, because I know I'm about to say a Yoruba word. Please don't kill me. Okay. Oni.
Oni.
Thank you. Right. Oni. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, guys. So I like, what I like about the Oni of Ife, thank you, right, is that he's now creating that whole, mystique, and he is actually, you may not like him. Yeah. Don't miss what I'm saying because you don't like him. But try to understand what I'm saying. Because he's a young man, and he's also, he's very traditional in the way he goes about things. He's raising awareness in the way, I didn't know much about, Yoruba people, Yoruba culture, if not for this monarch, And then I saw a video of him. I think he had just arrived in Canada. And people were prostrating and falling on the floor. And I looked at this and I thought, I don't know, I shouldn't normally be appalled by this, but in a way I'm kind of like proud that we do have a monarch that creates this kind of, attention and everything. So I like that, what you've said, and, we need to raise awareness and try and, create value for our monarchy, and he is doing that. So you shouldn't be frowning upon,
let me just make a point, sorry, Chuka.
Yes.
Do you want to come back on the on?
Yes,
I will just come back because I know he can't wait.
I was just going to read something from a newspaper, and then after that we can carry on.
Okay.
The Awujale of Ijebu at the recent festival, and he says, do not politicize the process.
Ojude Festival.
Okay, no, don't worry about that. Do not politicize the process of selecting my successor. Do not go for people that will draw Ijebu backwards. do not go for money bags that would destroy their achievements and so on and so on. Reject him and go for a ruling house. If a next ruling house does not present a viable candidate, please reject him and go for a ruling house with a capable candidate. Now, for a reigning monarch, and I think he's a fairly big one in Yoruba land.
He's not fairly, he's big.
Yes, yes. I actually respect him more than the one you were talking about.
Yeah.
Yes.
The one Uche was
even
talking
for
about.
age, yes, even for age. I'm older than the Oni, so I mean,
let's not get sidetracked.
So, let's not. So I mean, you see, for him to do this. This is Wednesday newspaper I just read from, and it just fits in with what I just wanted to do here. It tells you that there is a problem. Even a reigning monarch, the Awujale of Ijebuland, is begging people, please, don't let my successor be put in by money bags. Don't let he himself be a money bag. Himself. It means don't let the institution
be corrupted.
Carry on. No, it has been corrupted. He's trying to say it has to stop.
Okay. But he also
no, that's not what he said.
Yes.
He was just reminding us. Reminding us because it is something we have forgotten.
Yes.
That this is our greatest strength as black people on earth.
Yes, I agree.
Our culture.
Yes.
So we must sustain it. We must make sure we don't divert away from the ways of...
Be distracted from
of succession.
Yes.
And what he did is not to warn, is to remind us that we should do it correctly.
Yes.
The Omoluabi way, the Yoruba way. It's just reminding us.
But when you say remind, I'm just trying to not let it remind look like something isn't wrong. You know what I mean? He is still... It's
ongoing.
He knows that it's been...
We've just
I want Ekene to say... please let me say, then I'll give you room. I'll give the floor to you. So essentially, I'm thinking that you also touched on this, and it's possible we're just expanding on what you've already said. You know, if an institution wants to be respected, they first have to respect themselves. So you see the situation with Sanusi and Ganduje in the north.
Correct.
You know, someone like Sanusi, from what I hear, he played politics to get into the position. Yay or nay, I don't know. But the point is, the reason he's in the position he is in is that he's strayed into the political sphere. He started saying, I want to endorse, I don't want to endorse. So what you expect from monarchs when you look at the Queen in England is that abstain, don't take a position. Because you're not meant to be one APC or PDP. The people are looking to you as a figurehead to a bit of... So once you get into that zone, you go down there, you get muddied. So, you know, these are the issues we have. I'm not really a fan of... prostrating to members. I just feel when you start giving people this kind of, you're born with a title, they tend to abuse it like all things. But I see the value in it. That's why I'm saying I'm flowing with your article. Because I say it's something that we do need role models. And if these people can uphold and, because I know a monarch who is very careful to avoid getting involved in all things politics so that he can maintain his own influence when it matters. He doesn't want anybody to see him.
If we give you the model of like the Igbo monarch, you have the Eze, who's pretty much a figurehead. Then you have the Eze's council. And those are the people really that generally take the decisions. So, and those are usually learned people, of repute. So I think that's kind of buttressing just what Ekene said. Don't stray into
just to wrap it up, I think we've kind of got apples and eggs mixed up. Okay. Is what I think, especially when it comes to Yoruba monarchs. So you have the Awujale. He is the paramount ruler of Ijebuland. End of. There's no negotiating. Then you have the Oni, which is all titles, by the way. They are the positions. Who is all of Yoruba land? When they prostrate, it doesn't matter whether you like him, loathe him, fall in love with him, think he's the best looking guy, or he's a rat. You are prostrating for the position, for the office, not for the person,
human being.
Right? When people curtsy to the Queen, it's not about Elizabeth. It's about the fact of our office.
I know that, yeah.
So we can't, so when people say, oh, I don't feel comfortable about it. I have a friend who became a king who was younger than me. I still do Kabiesi. It's Papi. I can't do that. Yeah, you're a Republican though. You are a Republican.
I brought up this topic.
Well,
carry on.
So we must. And then when you talk about politics, we must remember that back in the day, the Kabiesis, the rulers. So Uche touched on something. We have our royalty will never be like the royalty of the West, because there are so many royal lands and royal houses, and that's just the way Africa is.
Yes,
that's the way Nigeria is. But if you take it back to the old days, the Oba was the politician. The kings, decisions were made at the palace
that's the same as abroad as well.
That affected,
evolution has
driven them out.
Even Obas were premiers.
Thank you, they were premiers.
Yes. But not anymore.
So, not anymore. But what happened is, but the reason, what's happened is, where we've gotten into Western democracy, the Obas are refusing to let go of their political powers influence, because they still want to be. You must remember that they all get allocation as well. That's the part I was going to end with. Right. So where there's money, there's a way. There's a way.
There's a will as well.
Yes.
Well, if we don't care about our heritage, who will? One thing we certainly care about is your feedback on why we must stop laughing with Nigerian comedians. AAM says, I don't know why people laugh when these comedians perform. They are bullies. On educational system and the collapse of society, Suhaila Ibrahim says, I'm really glad that such a topic is being discussed. Kudos to Uche for bringing this up. It elaborates the root of a lot of problems we are facing today in society. The special one says, this show is classy and educative, but we shouldn't bring this snowflake nonsense to Nigeria. We still have 99 problems, and yabbing bow-legged people is not one of them. I don't think this person really knows what he's talking Thank you. Do keep your comments coming in on our social media platforms. On Facebook, Plus TV Africa, hashtag #TheAdvocateNG. On Twitter and Instagram, @Plus TV Africa, #TheAdvocateNG, hashtag #TheAdvocateNG. To catch up with previous broadcasts, go to plustvafrica.com//theadvocate. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Plus TV Africa. Time for that quick break. Ireti warns of a danger many of us are living with after the break.